Hi guys, my name is Montana. I'm a student at JTech, and today I'm going to talk to you and show you how to remove a spark plug and explain the ignition system on this Honda Accord. So there are multiple different ignition systems. There's distributor, there's electronic distributor, there's waste spark, there's coil or plug, and then coil near plug. They all generally do the same thing, it's just they have different components in them. So what we're dealing with today is a coil or plug. So the coil sits over the plug, so it doesn't have to travel over a distance. It's just directly on over a plug. Some of the things, it takes a 12 volt battery and uses that 12 volts and steps it up through the step-up transformer in the coil to where it hits around 10 to 20,000 volts, and then it uses that volts when it discharges to the spark plug to ground it out so it can jump that gap and then create our heat or our spark to ignite the air-fuel mixture. So what we're going to show you today is how to remove a spark plug. So normally this would be unplugged and put in here and then plugged back in. There's usually a bolt holding it in so it doesn't overwork the coil from not being grounded out. So we take this out, move it over here. Now we need a spark plug socket, long extension, and a ratchet. Make sure we're all the right way. And we're using a 5/8 socket with a rubber grommet in it so it can grab the spark plug so it doesn't fall and break the porcelain. And usually once you break it loose, you can unscrew it by hand. Then pull it out. So as you can see, the rubber held it in place so it doesn't fall. So now what we're looking for is any damage to the spark plug, any contamination, anything that would indicate that there's a problem with the spark plug. So we're looking, gap looks fine, doesn't look damaged, doesn't have a lot of carbon buildup, or it's not flaking a lot, so it's not running rich or lean. Another thing we want to pay attention to is this porcelain. You want to make sure there's no cracks or there's no broken pieces off of it, because if so, it could ground out to the head and you won't get a spark and you'll have a miss and the engine will start running poorly and all that. So now we're going to put it back in. And you want to tighten this by hand until it stops, or as far as you can go. And if it starts binding up and you really can't tighten it by hand after like the first turn, you want to back it off and make sure you're going in correctly so you don't cross thread it, because the head's really easy to cross thread because it's soft aluminum. Now we're going to put our ratchet back on, go the right way, and we're going to tighten it. There's a torque spec to these, but for right now all we're going to do is just snug it. There we go. Because these really don't need to be torqued a lot, because you could either break it off in the head or stretch out the threads and strip them out. So I grabbed our spark tester, so we're going to hook this up into the coil and test our spark, but first we got to put the coil back in and plug it up. So now we have a coil plugged up. We want to hook this in place and we want to make sure it's grounded out, because if we don't ground it out, it'll overwork the coil and it'll burn it out eventually. There. Now, can you start the car, please? Now what we're going to be paying attention for is we're going to see how consistent this coil is in the spark, and if how strong it is, depending on how far it can go away. As you saw, the spark was consistent. It didn't miss half the time, and it was actually pretty strong because it was making it all the time. So guys, that's how you check spark and how strong a coil is, and that's how you remove and inspect the spark plug to see if it's damaged